Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com. They're an online therapy company. They are international. They are everywhere. They are amazing. They are so good to the people that have been using them. I am so thrilled to be reporting that people have been reporting back to me that they are really enjoying their therapists and they're recommending them to other people. So that makes me happy. Also, apparently you can either do a chat kind of therapy or you can do a live therapy. And I think that's really convenient, especially if somebody cannot easily talk out loud. So yeah, that's really awesome. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, so much to talk about. So I got to get together with Susanna Quintana because I got something up my sleeve and I think it's going to be fun. So I want to thank all of the people that came out to Atlanta to do the meet and greet. I had so much fun, you guys. I love talking to you. It was awesome. And while we were sitting around, the participants were like, "We want you to do another cruise." And I'm like, "Oh." And then I thought, well, why don't we do a retreat? And then we started talking about Key West. And then I looked at the prices and I went, you know what? It's actually cheaper to do a cruise than it is to do a 3-day retreat. So I know, isn't that weird? It's just weird. So we're going to be looking into doing a 3-day cruise next December. I'm going to see if I can talk Susanna into coming with me again. That would be so much fun. So next December, not this December, but December 2023. So I'll get a hold of the cruise line and figure out all the details, and we will start posting that as soon as I get details. I will give you details. That would be great. Okay. Any other announcements? Oh, the podcast. Yes. So remember, I am doing the podcast. It is available everywhere you can find podcasts. If you know anyone who is going through domestic violence, who is having any sort of problems, please refer them out to this, give them this, tell them about the podcast. I don't even know what I'm saying here, but make sure people know how to get here, or to Kim Saeed, or to Susanna Quintana, or to Shahida Arabi, or to whoever, because it's really, really important that as many people as possible get educated on this. And here's the reason why. So now we're diving into current events. And this current event is a very upsetting current event. Oh, also before I continue, if you're noticing I've got a different background, it's because I am kitty sitting. So I'm at a person's house kitty sitting, which makes me very happy because I get to play with cats. So, all right. So the current event that I want to talk about. There have been 2 incidences in Phoenix over this last week, and both of them are heinous. And okay. So the first one happened earlier this last week. So Jason Hudgens decided to kill his wife and his 3 children because his wife wanted to divorce him. So people knew that there had been problems in the marriage. The family and friends were like, "Oh, we didn't see any signs. We didn't think that he would be dangerous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." So let me be clear. There were signs. People just don't know what to look for. And because Marla Hodgins was not exhibiting, distress or fearful or anything like that, the people weren't catching a clue. Does that make sense? So, and they were like, "Oh, well, but she was so calm and she said everything was fine." Well, that's what targets of abuse do. We tell everybody it's fine. "Oh, no, it's fine." And we minimize. "Oh, no, it's not that bad. Oh, no, it's not. Da, da, da." And then it really is that bad. So this person, and I use the term loosely, Jason Hudgens, decided to, when he found out she wanted to leave him, and they had 3 children. There were 2 twins, 6 months old, two little girls, and a boy. Okay. She had to do fertility stuff to get the kids. All she ever wanted to be was a mom. All she ever wanted to be was a mom. These children were her life. She was so happy to be a mom and to have these kids. So when he killed them, he killed the children. And everybody's like, "Well, why? Why would he kill the children?" Well, if he's an abuser, if he is as bad as I think he is, he's going to do something to terrify his wife before he killed her. So he killed the children, he killed her. He turned on gas in the house. He disconnected a gas appliance, let the gas just fill up the house. He also turned on propane tanks, fully intending, after killing himself, to have the house blow up. That takes malice aforethought, guys. That takes premeditation. That is not an impulsive act. That is not something that just, oops, I decided to blow the house up. No, this is something this person thought about for months. Garen freaking it. Take that to the bank. Pattern of behavior. When these dark triads, when these murderers kill their victim, this is not an act of passion, okay? And here's something that really pissed me off is that as I was researching this event, one of his friends, coworkers, decided to go on one of the news stations and smear the victim and do victim blaming. And here's the interesting thing, and boy, howdy, you guys better pay attention to this. This guy refused to have his name published and hid his voice, and you couldn't see him. So what does that tell you? Because the only people that smear the victim and do it anonymously are flying monkeys and cowards, and usually disordered themselves. Oh, well, he was a great guy to me. He never did it. Boy, you know, she must have done something to really get him to do something that bad. Committing filicide is no sane parent would do that. No good parent would ever kill their own child to get back at a spouse. No good parent would ever do that. And I'm sorry, I don't care if she threatened to drag him through court. I don't care if she threatened to leave him bankrupt. I don't care if she threatened to ruin his good name or whatever was going on. There is never an excuse for killing your own children. Let me just be 110% clear about that. I have absolutely zero sympathy for him, 100% sympathy for Marla and the kids. And whoever this friend was is a coward because they wouldn't have their name out there. They wouldn't be seen, and they hid their voice. That tells me everything I need to know about that source. Okay, that was incident number one. Now, everybody was like, well, why? Why would he kill the children? Because he wanted to hurt her as much as he possibly could before he killed her. Healthy, normal people do not commit filicide. They do not kill their own children. They do, oh God, you do everything you can to protect your child. That's the whole point of being a parent. It's like, you know, kid comes first. Divorce happens, kid comes first. Well-being of the child comes first. But when you're dealing with somebody who is not normal, their ego comes first. And their me, I, more. And they will kill, harm, hurt, maim, whoever they need to keep that ego safe. So the house was filled up with gas. And you want to know who found the bodies? A teenage babysitter. A teenager walked into this house, saw the bodies, freaked out, smelled the gas, ran outside, called the cops. First responders then had to come in. They were traumatized. The teenager is going to need therapy for sure. Do you think this jackass cared one whit about the damage that he's done? Not just to his kids, not just to his wife, but to the people that had to find them. That is selfishness to the nth degree. That is arrogance to the nth degree. How dare he? How dare he? And now we've had a second incident. Same situation, domestic violence. There had been previous domestic violence calls. Now, I don't know if there was previous domestic violence calls on this one, but there was previous domestic violence calls. There was one in Queen Creek, Chandler, Queen Creek, and he showed up unannounced at the house. And he shot the two kids. The kids are in stable condition, thank God. I do not know what their injuries are. And I do not know if it's life-altering injuries. If he shot them in, vital areas, these kids are going to need help the rest of their lives. The mom got away. She wasn't harmed. He then killed himself. They're dangerous, guys. I cannot stress enough. If you are divorcing a narcissist, if you are divorcing, especially a dark triad, do not minimize what they say and do. Take their threats seriously. I kid you not, because they are crazy in that. Now, let me just be very clear. They are crazy in that their ego comes first and they will do whatever it needs to feed the ego to make the ego okay. They are not crazy legally. Let's just be clear of that, because in a legal definition, you need to know the difference. You need to not know the difference between right and wrong. To be declared legally insane, you cannot tell the difference between right and wrong. So Jared Loughner, who shot Gabby Giffords, he couldn't tell the difference between right and wrong. He was so delusional, he couldn't tell. This guy, this other guy, they planned this out. They absolutely knew it was right or wrong. They knew right and wrong. They knew what they were doing. To go through the house, unplug an appliance and fill the house with gas and then open up all of the valves. Come on. They knew what they were doing and they knew what would happen. And they didn't give a flying rat's ass what would happen to the neighbors or to that teenage babysitter walking into the house. In fact, he probably felt the more people I can kill, the better, because that's what they do. If they're going to go out, they don't want to go out alone. They want to take as many people with them as they possibly can. So, so basically, when you watch the news, when you see news reports, when you hear flying monkeys coming to the defense of the indefensible, there is no excuse. I don't care what she was doing. There was no excuse to shoot 2 6-month-olds and a 3-year-old. No excuse. None. Zip. Zero. Zilch. Nada. That person was clearly a flying monkey. Clearly. If they're unwilling to give their name, if they're a coward enough, excuse me, that they're going to smear this woman and say it was something she did to deserve this, if I could flip off the camera right now, I would. Let me just be clear. So, boy, there are times when I wish I could swear, because I would be swearing up a blue streak right now. So anyway, that is the current event. And what concerns me, again, is the lack of education. So all of the family and friends, not just his friends, but her friends as well, they were like, she gave no indication. She didn't tell us how bad it was. She didn't say anything. There was no warning signs. Well, again, you've got to understand, when somebody is being abused, we minimize. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, other people have it worse. Oh, I'll be okay. Oh, we'll be all right. I don't want to worry you. I don't want to be a burden. Dear God, if somebody, okay, so basically, here's the thing. If somebody is divorcing somebody, they're not doing it with 3 small little children. They're not doing it for no reasons. That should have been an alert right there. That should have been like, okay, something's up. Something's going on really bad for this woman to want to leave a marriage when she's got 2 6-month-old and a 3-year-old. That the family and friends should have been rallying and asking a bunch of questions regardless, and getting her support and getting her help. But again, if they're minimizing, if they're, and that's what we do. That is what we do. But what I'm saying is that in order for a woman to leave a marriage with small children like that, there is something serious going on. Absolutely 110%. People don't just leave a marriage with small children for no apparent reason. And that's basically what the friends were saying. They was like, well, we didn't see anything. We didn't. Education, guys. Education, education, education. Swear to God. People need to know the red flags. People need to know how targets of abuse act. This is what happened with Gabby Petito. So again, she was upset and crying and, sobbing and it's me, it's me, it's me, when it was Brian Landry that was the abuser. So again, people need to look for how targets of abuse respond to abuse. They don't respond the way you think they're going to respond. They don't. And we need to teach people this. We need to teach people how they act when they're in a situation like that. And if you know somebody who is getting divorced and they've got small little ones, you better be asking the questions. Are you okay? What is going on? How can I help? What support do you need? That kind of thing. Now, granted, this woman was a lawyer and she's probably had seen it all. And lawyers have a tendency to play their cards close to their chest, which is great in court, but it's not great if you're dealing with a intimate partner violence situation. So again, I share these videos with as many people as you can. Get the podcast out to people. Send them to Kim Saeed. Send them to Shahida Arabi. Send them to Susanna Quintana. We need to educate as many people as possible because people are just not getting it. They're not seeing the warning signs. They're not seeing the red flags. They're not seeing the danger. And when you're dealing with a dark triad, if somebody is narcissistic, a psychopath, and a control freak, so they're narcissistic, it's all about them. They're a psychopath, rules don't apply to them. They can do whatever they want. They really truly believe that. And they're a control freak. You can't leave me. You can't, I'll make sure you can't leave me. I'm going to control you. I'm going to keep you from leaving me. I'll do this to you. I'll do that to you. That's what both of these guys did because they couldn't stand the fact that their target of abuse got away from them. And what are they going to go after? The people that the target of abuse love the most, which is their children. And in other cases, their pets. So educate, 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 educate. That is the current event I wanted to talk about. This was intentional. This was premeditated. This was absolutely planned out and thought out well. And this was absolutely with the intention of the house blowing up, probably when the babysitter walked in. So yeah, educate, 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 educate. Okay, sorry, there's my rant. All right, so today we need to talk about the holidays, how to survive the holidays, any holiday, but specifically Thanksgiving and Christmas, because apparently Christmas falls on a Sunday, so I won't be doing a show on that Sunday. But so basically, when we have to go deal with toxic family, the best suggestion, honest to God, is if you can, don't go. Seriously, you owe them nothing. And oh my God, Kim yesterday told me the greatest saying. She's like, instead of just fog, it's BS fog. And I looked at her, I was like, BS fog. And she's like, blame, shame, fear, obligation, guilt. And I went, I am so stealing that. So yeah, it's BS fog. Blame, shame, fear, obligation, and guilt. And that's what they use to trick us into going to a family function, going to Thanksgiving, going to Christmas, whatever. And don't fall for it. You owe these people nothing. You do not owe them anything. Seriously. So the other thing that we were talking about is along with the guilt trip of making you go to a family function, they also do this whole thing about, oh, well, everybody's going to do a gift. Okay, not everybody can afford even $25 gift or 25 per person. If you've got a huge extended family, what I seriously suggest is if they're insisting on some sort of gift, you say, okay, great, I'm going to donate in the family's name to this particular charity. Tell me what charity you want me to donate to. And that covers the whole family, and I'm not doing any more. And you've got to stick to your guns. You've got to really stick to your boundaries because they'll try to push it. They'll try to be like, oh, we're going to do a white elephant, or oh, we're going to do no, no, you don't have to. You seriously don't have to. You can opt out. You can say no, or you can say, I'll donate to this charity, or tell me what charity you want me to donate to, or whatever. So, I would much rather have somebody donate to a charity in my name than to buy me something that they can't afford and I don't want. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do something that's going to help the world. You know what I mean? Or if you don't want to do it, if you can't afford it, you just, hey, I cannot afford this. I'm sorry. That's not happening. Sorry. And you hold your guns. So, okay. I want to go through the holiday survival tips. So one of the main things that comes up when people end up having to go home for the holidays is that they revert. We revert. We go back to how we were in childhood. And literally, it doesn't take very long. So literally, it can be like you're there for 2 days and then all of a sudden you're a 7-year-old again. Or you're there for 3 days and all of a sudden you're a 7-year-old again. So you want to set a time limit. And this includes if you're just going over for dinner. So here are some of the suggestions that I wanted to go over. Set realistic expectations. We tend to expect more of ourselves and others, and especially if we are dealing with inner child stuff, if we are dealing with that inner child desire to have the perfect Christmas, the perfect Thanksgiving, the perfect, family thing. And I know that a lot of us have gone through that and continue to go through that. And it is because of the inner child stuff, wanting that perfect holiday, wanting that perfect, Christmas, wanting the parents to be parents, wanting the cousins to be loving, wanting the siblings to be kind and sibling-like, like a real sister, a real brother. But the truth of the matter is, if they haven't gotten help, If they haven't worked on themselves, if they're still doing the same crazy dance, they're going to still be doing the crazy dance at Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you got to set realistic expectations. And then the next thing you have to ask yourself is, how long do you want to spend with them? Really, truly. It's like, if, okay, you've set the realistic expectation, you know you can't handle them for more than a dinner, or you can't handle them for more than a day or two. Set that boundary. I'm coming in Wednesday night, I'm leaving Friday morning, or whatever your boundary is, set it. So, John and I had kind of a built in, when we had Scotty, we had a built in excuse. We would always say, oh, we got to let the dog out. Well, we didn't need to let the dog out. The dog was fine, but but they didn't know that. So it was like, oh yeah, no, we got to go take care of the dog. Got to go take the dog for a walk. We got to leave. Or what we would do is we would blow in, have pie, spend it, the major dinner with somebody else, have pie with the family that was toxic, and then leave quickly. So really, you come up with things to do. So, and sometimes what people will tell me, or what they'll be afraid of, is they'll be like, oh, but again, how old are you? But it's a lie. It's, da, da, da. Look, guys, self-preservation, if you have to make a white lie to get out of dealing with toxic Aunt Bertha, then do it. You owe them nothing. Nothing. You owe them nothing. And they'll try to make you feel like you owe them, but you do not. You do not. Okay, hold on. I want to get back to the tips. Hang on. Okay, and this is from Ombre Associates. How to enjoy the holidays, even with toxic relatives. Know your limits. So know how long you can handle it. Know how long you can stay, and discuss the possibilities and responsibilities with your partner. It's like, okay, well, what are we willing to put up with? What are we not willing to put up with? How long can we stay? How much of a conversation that's not healthy can we deal with? That kind of thing. Deflect and diffuse. So uncomfortable subjects will be brought up by toxic family members. You can guarantee it. One of the top ones that couples have to deal with is, when are you having the baby? When are you going to be pregnant? When are you going to give us grandchildren? That's something that John and I had to deal with in our early marriage all the time. And so I would just be a smart ass and be like, well, you have grandchildren, they're furry and they bark and meow, and that usually people would laugh and the conversation would go on. Or the other thing you can say is, if you don't want to be a smart aleck, is that you can say, you know what, when that happens, you'll be the first to know. What can they say to that? Nothing. And of course, if you've chosen not to have children, that will never happen. So if they bring up, say, for example, politics, or religion, and we talked a little bit about this last week. If they bring up a topic you don't want to be a part of, excuse yourself and go to the bathroom. Excuse yourself and go get a cup of coffee. Excuse yourself and go to the kitchen. Excuse yourself and leave. You don't have to stick around. You don't, you just don't. You don't owe them your opinion. You don't have to say anything. You are under no obligation, because trust me, in toxic families, anything you say can and will be used against you. Trust me on that one. So you want to keep it surface level. Hey, how about them Dodgers? Seriously, you just want to keep it surface level, that type of thing. Okay, so back to how to enjoy the holidays. Remain an adult. It is not uncommon to regress to old childhood patterns when you spend time with your family of origin. Negative emotions will surface. Try to be aware of this tendency. If you catch yourself slipping back into those childhood roles, that's a really great time to just go outside and get some fresh air and really kind of go, okay, how old am I right now? Okay, there you go. It's like I said, it's very common for us to slip into the roles, and you don't want to do that. You don't. So gentle with you, gentle with you. So leading up to Thanksgiving, so here we are at Sunday, so Thanksgiving will be Thursday. It would probably be a really good idea to kind of have a chat with your inner child. I kid you not. It's like, if you have to go be with toxic family members, have a chat with your inner child. Okay, little one, we're going to go home, but here's the deal. You don't have to say anything. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't have to defend yourself, because it's usually how we find ourselves being with toxic family members is they say something just outrageously stupid or outrageously ridiculous or rude or whatever, and then we find ourselves engaging. Do not engage. Don't do it. It won't do any good. It won't do any good. They literally, now is not the time to point out to them that they are toxic, disordered, egotistical, arrogant, whatever the issue is. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. Never is going to be the time. They're not going to hear you. There is no there for them to enact a change. If they're not getting therapy, if they're not working on themselves, if they're personality disordered, they're not going to change. Let's be clear. And bringing it up when you're home is not going to do any good. All it's going to do is give them fuel for the fire to use against you at the dinner table with other family members, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don't do it. And again, I think the reason why we do things like that is because our inner child flares up and is just like, but, you got to work with that kid. You got to work with that little one. You got to love that little one and reassure that little one and just make sure the little one understands, okay, little me, adult me has to be in charge here, not you. Let adult me take care of you. And so you work with that. So seriously, do some work on the inner child workbook, whether it's the Catherine Taylor one or whether it's the Lucia Cappuccioni one. So seriously, you're going to have a little chat with your little inner self before you go to dinner and a pep talk, mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. Guess what? You don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't need to engage with anyone you don't want to. Have a good day. Love you. Bye. And then you walk out, remind yourself of that. Have a signal that you and your partner, if you're going with your spouse or a boyfriend, can tell each other, letting the other one know it's time to go. So for me and John, it was, oh, we got to go. Hun, it's really, we got to let the dog out of the kennel. That was his clue that I'd had enough and it was time to leave, and so he would do the same thing for me if he'd had enough and it was time to leave. So yeah, absolutely. And then that way, they don't know. So there's that. Okay, hold on. Back to how to enjoy that. Okay, increase your self-care. It's easy to become overwhelmed by difficult family members. Oh, dear God, when you're depleted. So make sure that you're getting enough sleep, you're getting enough water, you're eating as healthfully as you can. Go for a walk, clear your head, that whole thing. Avoid alcohol and sweets. It's only going to make you feel worse, which is very much true. And you got to remember, abusive families, toxic families love to keep people up, love to wear them down. Honestly, if you don't have to stay in the house with them, go stay at a hotel. Seriously, or an Airbnb or something. You don't have to stay with them. So, and then that would give you a break too, because it's like you're away from them and, oh yeah, well, got to take a shower. We'll be over in 45 minutes, or whatever, even though you're ready to go, so give yourself a break. Again, you don't have to tell them everything. And I honestly find a lot of people new to recovery is that they overshare and they overtell their plans with their toxic family. And it's like, you don't need to tell them anything. You just tell them, you're staying at a hotel, get a hotel, stay at a hotel. And yes, they'll piss and whine and moan and everything else. Oh, well, you have the right to handle your own accommodations. So anyway, there is that. Okay. Here's another one on, okay. All right. Keep your routine as regular as possible, because changes in routine, and especially if we come from families that are toxic or alcoholic or both, changes in routine can be very upsetting. It throws us off. It does. And honestly, that's kind of how the toxic families want it, so that you're thrown off. So try to stick to your routine as much as possible. So if you normally get up and go take a walk, get up and go take a walk. If you normally do meditation in the morning, do meditation in the morning. It's like, try to stick as close to your routine as possible so that you're not off kilter, so that you're grounded, so that when toxic family members do come at you, you can be like, no, thank you. I'm not going to engage in that conversation. Or, yeah, I think I'm going to go get another cup of coffee. And then you get out of the situation. You have the right to walk away. You have the right to walk away. Absolutely. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Okay, think moderation. Don't drink too much. I think we've talked about that. Because sometimes and this is another mistake that the newly initiated into recovery do from toxic families is they go home and as soon as the toxic family members start, they reach for the alcohol. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And especially if you are also trying to tackle addiction issues, don't do it. It's not going to help. I mean, it's going to numb you, yes, but it's going to create more problems. So the better thing to do is if it's getting to the point where you're wanting to use because you just can't freaking stand them, leave. Have an upset stomach and leave. Seriously. It's like, oh, I'll come over tomorrow morning or whatever. So leave, leave, leave. You don't have to numb yourself just because they're being obnoxious, and then the question is, what are they doing that's triggering you so badly that you had to reach for that alcohol or drug of choice or whatever? It's like, no. And that's the big thing. If you are in recovery from drugs and alcohol, don't even go. Don't even go. If you're new to recovery and from drugs and alcohol, don't even go. Don't do it. Save yourself because this time of year is when people relapse with good reason. I mean, it's like you're dealing with incredibly toxic people. So, yeah. So, just if you're new to recovery from drugs and alcohol, don't even go. Create your own family tradition or create your own tradition. Go do something for you. Go hang out with friends. Go volunteer. Go work at a food bank. Go get out of your head and do something else. That would be the best suggestion. So, if they're toxic and you think you're going to use because of them, don't even go. Don't even go. Okay, hang on. All right, I will get to the questions. Hold on. Be realistic. Don't expect them to change. Don't expect them to be different. Stay connected to healthy family or friends. Do a reality check. Get some grounding. Get support. Don't forget to ask for help. So remember, not asking for help is a trauma response. So if you're with the family and they're being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and you're like, oh my God, feel free to step outside and call a friend and just go, you will not believe what Aunt Bertha just pulled. And then your friend's going to go, oh my God, I know. You're totally right, girl. Just ground yourself. You'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? That's what friends are for. Friends are there to support you, or the friend will be like, okay, here's the plan. I'm going to call you in 15 minutes. It's going to be an emergency. There's your excuse. Do you see where I'm going with that? So yeah, you want to take care of yourself. You want to make sure you have friends, healthy friends and family that you can call and talk to. You don't have to be alone if you don't want to. Volunteering, spending holidays, soup kitchen, food pantry, children's home, elderly homes, etc. I mean, you can volunteer. You can go do something else. Focus on today, not yesterday. You have the right to say no. So if they're trying to make you do all the cooking or they're trying to make you do the hosting or it's too much, you can say no. They're not going to like it, but oh well, you have the right to say no. If you don't want to do all the cooking, don't do all the cooking. If they're trying to make you, pay for a bunch of stuff, you don't have to. You can say no. Ask for help. Asking for help, emotional support, etc. That's what you need to do. Be good to yourself. Be so gentle with you. That is the most important thing, is because we tend to beat ourselves up. We tend to internalize when the holidays are not going well because we think somehow, and this is a little kid inside of us, that it was something we said or we did. And it's not. I just want to be very clear. Now, this next article is from TAPS. And I can't make that bigger. Can I make that bigger? Because I don't know who that is. Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. Okay, now this is for people grieving. So the holidays are incredibly difficult when we are grieving, and that could be the loss of a person, a pet, a job, losing a relationship that we thought was real, any of that. So make plans, make sure that you are surrounded by support. Choose your company wisely. So if you are newly out of an abusive relationship, going into a toxic family situation may not be a good thing. So especially if they're going to want to ask a lot of questions, well, why aren't you together? And no, they're being nosy Parkers. You don't need to answer that. And what I say when somebody asks me a question, hang on. When somebody asks me a question that I don't want to answer, which is very rare, but it does happen. If somebody asks me something that's too intensely personal, I'll just look at them and I'll be like, wow, thank you for asking. And then I just let that really uncomfortable silence just sit there. So yeah, it's kind of like, I'm not answering that. Or the other thing you can do, again, if you don't want to be a smart aleck, because I tend to be a smart aleck, the other thing you can do is you can say, it's too fresh, it's too raw. I'm not going to talk about that. You have the right to say that. Again, they're going to push, but you don't have to answer it. So just remember that. Okay, hold on. Let me get to the other ones. Find support, seek spiritual comfort, whatever your spiritual belief is, find comfort in your community. Honor your grief. I think that is the big thing, because remember, when we were talking about complicated grief, people have a tendency to be like, I'm going to shove it under the rug and make it go away. And no, honor your grief. If you are newly broken up from an abuser, you're going to be grieving. Let's be clear. And the holidays are hard because this is the time of year when they have traditionally done the love bombing, done the, romantic Christmas or whatever, and or this is when they've dumped you, is around the holidays. So yeah, it's going to be a little tender. So honor that grief. Remember, if you are out away from an abuser, this thing you fell in love with was an illusion. It wasn't even real. So treat it like a death. Treat it like a death. They are dead. They are dead. This was not real. They are dead. So that's what you're going to want to be doing. Okay, let's see what other tips they had. Honor your grief. Be patient with yourself. Seriously, you're going to feel the feelings. It's just going to happen. You're going to feel the feels. And again, if being with toxic family is not going to be supportive, don't go. Be with people that are going to support you mentally, physically, emotionally, and otherwise. Does that make sense? It's like you want to be around friends, like friends, not frenemies, not toxic family. You want to be around people that are going to support you and love you and be gentle with you and encourage you. That's what you're going to need at that point. Okay, let's see. Focus on your health. Don't forget to ask for help. Engage in acts of service. That's in every single one of these. That's one of the main things they've said. Okay. All right. So let me get to. All right. So basically, to recap, if you can avoid going with toxic family members for any holiday, avoid. Do your own thing. And you don't owe them an explanation. And I love the BS fog, the blame, shame, fear, obligation, guilt. And that's what they do. So if you recognize that they're pulling any of that, there's your sign, there's your clue. Don't go, because this is just a taste of what they're going to pull when you get there. If you feel like you have to go, limit your time. Seriously, stay at a hotel. Don't stay with the family. If you have to stay with the family, then limit your time there, like overnight or maybe 2 days. And before you go, have a really strong chat with your inner child. Love that little one, reassure that little one, and let the inner child know that you're the adult. Little one is the little one. You're going to protect them, but they have to let you be the adult and deal with all of this. Don't overshare. Don't overshare. Don't overshare, because they're going to try to get you to overshare. Don't overshare. You don't owe them anything. Keep it surface level. Don't get too deep. If things get nasty and you want to get out of there, leave. You have the right to leave. Come up with an excuse, So yeah, you don't have to stay. Okay. I think that covers everything. One other thing I wanted to talk about is somebody got kind of snarky with me last week because I answered 2 questions in the weekly question thing. I want to remind everybody, I run a full-time private practice. So when I have time to do more questions, I do more questions. If I only have time to do 2, I'm going to do 2. So one of the kitties is meowing. So I just want to let you know, it's not that I'm being lazy. It's that I literally don't have time. So I'll answer as many questions as I can. If I only have time for 2 questions, I will answer 2 questions. If I have time for more, I will do more. So, okay, speaking of questions, let's dive into the questions. Okay. Do narcs use the holiday as an opportunity to pick fights. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. My late narc mom would always pick fights with me, and I stopped going back eventually. Oh my God. So you've got to understand narcissists and borderlines, if they are malignant, they view courts and Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas as a captive audience. So they will pick that time to ruin it. They'll pick that time to ruin it. They love to ruin anything that's not directly about them. Their ego gets very angry that this holiday is not about them. So yeah, they intentionally ruin birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, anniversaries, whatever, because it's not about them. And I will be writing a book about that after I finally finish the fourth book, dear God. But I want to talk in the new book that I'm formulating about how they do that kind of thing. So it is also a little bit of that captive audience. So if it, Kitty, what are you doing? You mowing. So if they've got a captive audience, that's the time that they'll pull something. My dad would do that. We would be sitting around the table and he'll decide he didn't like my sass, or he didn't like that I wasn't sassing him, or geez Louise, I was breathing wrong. And the next thing I know, I'd get backhanded for no reason. No reason. And then of course it would cause upset, and the whole family would be upset and, having a fit and everything else. And he ruined the dinner. So Snoopy, what you doing? What you doing? Oh, cute cat. Anyway, squirrel. Sorry. Does she want out, hun? Yeah, well, yeah. Go ahead and let her out. So they will do the upset or the trauma because they're drama kings, crisis queens. They love the upset. They love the drama. They love, it's like they stir the pot and then they sit back and go, ha ha ha, look what I did. Seriously. And so they ruin holidays, they ruin birthdays, they ruin anniversaries. If it's not directly about them, they will find a way to ruin it because they don't feel joy. They don't feel happy. They don't. And so what does Christmas and Thanksgiving do for most people? I freaking love the holidays. I love it. I love to cook. I love hanging out with friends. I love the food. I love the prezzies. I love hanging out and the Hallmark holiday stuff. I love it because I'm, hopeless romantic. So, so it's fun, but they don't feel those feelings. And so when somebody does, that pisses them off so badly. They can't stand it that other people are having fun and other people are enjoying and other people are happy because they don't feel the way we feel, and it pisses them off. And so they've got to ruin it. So that's why they pick fights. You betcha. Or again, it's that captive audience. Let me just stir the pot and see what happens. Ha ha ha. Look how powerful I am. I've ruined the dinner. I'm powerful. That's what they do. So yeah, they do that. The bastages. Anyway. All right. My birthday is the 21st. Oh, happy birthday. My narc mom, who I've gone no contact with, wants to send me gifts. Oh boy, I'm worried she's trying to weasel back in. How do I handle this situation? Okay, well, a true gift, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. A true gift has no strings attached. So if she's sending you a gift and it's through the mail, okay, again, just a simple thank you, and that's it. She's going to do what she's going to do. If she's sending it through the mail, she's going to send it through the mail. I hope she doesn't show up to your house. Again, you're under no obligation to answer the door. You're not. It's like everybody seems to think that, they come to the door, I have to answer the door. Hell no. That's why I got the ring. Thank you very much. Because then I can look and see who it is. And I'm like, shh, we're not home. It's like, I don't want to answer the door, especially if it's a salesman. But anyway, the point being is that you don't have to answer the door. If she sends you gifts in the mail, a simple thank you, because that's the civil thing to do, but then nothing else. And then if she starts with the whole, I bought you these gifts, blah, blah, blah. Well, they weren't gifts, were they? There's strings attached. So yeah, I mean, yes, they will. That's a classic Hoover. That is a classic Hoover. Absolutely. And if you've been no contact, stay no contact as much as you can. And yeah, but she's going to do what she's going to do. If she's going to mail them through the mail, they're going to show up, you know. So if they do, you send a very generic thank you and that's it. And you don't do anything more. Don't call, don't text, don't, just send a thank you card through the mail. If you can remove yourself as much as possible, the better. So, but yes, they absolutely do that. And yes, she is trying to weasel her way back in. Excuse me. All right. How you handle the situation? If she sends gifts, she sends gifts. If she shows up, you don't have to answer the door. You can pretend you're gone. Yeah, and just don't feel guilty. No guilt, no guilt, no guilt. If the guilt pops up, thank you, guilt. That was a fascinating thought. I am not playing. Go pound sand. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. And push it out. Because you don't have to. You don't have to feel guilty. You got nothing to feel guilty about. All right. How to deal with the smear campaign of you being the mean one because you are saying no and choosing not to engage in the festivities. Isn't that interesting how they flip the script? Yes. So, okay. So here's the deal. Saying no is not mean. Let's be very clear. The only people who don't like boundaries are those who are dedicated to crossing them. So you just rise above and keep going. They're going to say whatever they're going to say. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. You cannot control that. Okay. What you can control is whether or not you take it personally. Oh, don't take things personally. That's one of the ones I forgot to say. When you're at the family dinner, don't take things personally. They are literally going to throw whatever they have at the wall to see what sticks. Don't take it personally. Don't rise to the bait. It's not about you. Their dysfunction is about them. It is not about you. Don't take it personally. And now I've completely forgotten what that question was. Hold on. Oh, you're mean because you're saying no. No, you're drawing boundaries. Oh, well, they don't have to like it, but they have to respect it. Seriously, you don't got to like it, but you do got to respect it. And you just keep your boundary and they're not going to like it. Abusers don't like boundaries. Abusers do not like boundaries. With a healthy, normal person or a healthy, normal family, if a child says, hey, we're going to go do our own things. Oh, shoot, going to miss you, but have a great time. There you go. Done. No muss, no fuss, no drama. With an unhealthy family, well, you're mean because you're not coming into the festivities and you're the you guns are going. So there's the blame, the shame, the fear, the obligation, the guilt. Oh, Kim, thank you so much for that. I love that saying. BS fog. It's BS fog. It's BS fog. They're giving you BS fog. So, no, you have the right to go do your own thing. And you're not being mean. You're having boundaries. This is what drives me crazy is when new couples get together, I see the controlling families tear the couple. I mean, John and I had to deal with that when we were newly married. It's like his family wanted us to always go do things with them. My family wanted us to always go do things with them. And we finally just kind of went to both of them and just did our own thing. We were just like, this is too much. Can't cope. We're leaving. Bye. And we just went and created our own stuff and did traveling and, things like that, new things, which is really a great way to do it. You create your own traditions, which is the way it should be. Newly married couples, newly married or newly minted couples, whether they're married or not, should be allowed to create their own traditions, with the full blessings of the family. But if the families are toxic or if the families are dysfunctional, it's going to be a battle for power and control with the couple as the prize, which to me just deserves slap therapy all the way around. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so yeah. So yeah, you're not mean and you just laugh because it's a joke. It really is. You're not the mean one. You're drawing boundaries and they don't like it. And who's being immature? Well, it's not you, it's them. So don't take it personally. They're just trying to manipulate and control. And like I said, dysfunctional families will throw whatever they got in the pot against the wall to see what's going to stick. So if they think that you're going to fall for the whole, well, you're mean and you this and you that and you, and how dare you, right? That's what they're going to throw. So if you can just kind of laugh at it and go, wow, this is not about you. This is about them. dear Lord, the more yous there are going on. Notice with the you guns. Okay, there's 2 fingers pointed out at you, but there's 6 fingers pointed out at the person who's doing the accusing. Go figure. So they're talking about themselves. Because a healthy, normal person would respect boundaries. No, and I mean it. No, and I'm not going to go. Okay, if you need me to be the bad guy, then okay. You live with the story you need to, and have a sense of humor about it. I think the problem of it is that we as targets of abuse take things so personally because we're so used to being blamed and we're so used to being put down and we're so used to, being codependent and taking it on, internalizing it. Oh, you're right. It's my fault. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. No, it's not your fault. You've got nothing to be guilty about. You're drawing a boundary. It's okay. It's okay for you to draw a boundary. Are you being mean? No, you're just not wanting to deal with a bunch of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I don't blame you. It's not my idea of fun either. So, okay, hold on. Let's get to the next question. I hope that answered the question. So stick to your guns. This is just a manipulation. It's just a manipulation. Okay. How do you handle PTSD flare-ups when visiting family when they have recovered and gotten better? I know they aren't the same as they were before, but I still have a hard time seeing them. Well, PTSD is, whether PTSD is from, like a life-threatening event or whether it's CPTSD, a series of abusive events, flashbacks are going to happen. Those feelings are going to come back up. The panic attacks can happen, that kind of thing. I'm not quite sure I understand your question. How do you handle PTSD flare-ups when visiting family when they have recovered and gotten better? So I'm assuming it must have been like a life-threatening event. I know they aren't the same as they were before, but I still have a hard time seeing them. I'm not sure if we're dealing with an accident or if we're dealing with...
They're no longer abusive.
Oh, they're no longer abusive. Ooh, that's a tough one. Ooh, that's a sticky wicket. Holy cow. Let me process that one for a second. Okay, so they're no longer abusive. You're going to go see them. It creates a lot of anxiety, obviously. Oh, do you have to go see them? Honestly, that would be kind of my first thing. It's like, do you have to? Or do you want to even? And there's a question. Is this a have to or a want to? If you want to go see them and you're having some of those feelings, okay, well, then maybe that's something worth going through with. But if you have to go see them and you don't really want to, that's when you really kind of need to do a pro and a con list. Do you really want to see them? Is this worth it? Is this going to be okay? Are you going to be okay? And I think that's the main question we all have to ask ourselves when we are dealing with family who has in the past been abusive. Let's say they're no longer abusive. Maybe they've worked on themselves. Maybe they've gotten sober. Maybe they've, whatever. But do you really want to see them? And I think that's kind of the question.
They said they still want to maintain a relationship with their siblings too.
Oh, and they want to maintain a relationship with your siblings. Okay, so wow, that's a tough one. So what I would say is if you don't have a therapist, get a therapist. You're going to need somebody to vent to like nobody's business. My recommendation would be a talk therapist in conjunction with an EMDR therapist so that you can deal with the past and you're also dealing with the present on 2 different angles. Does that make sense? With the PTSD, the body keeps score. Bessel van de Kolk, great book. It is going to bring up body memories. Okay. Like when I had to be around my dad, I'll tell you what, I've got a startle response like nobody's business because he was always hitting me. So just like a dog that's been beat too much, I have this tendency to like, expect a hand to come at me. So, it's going to bring up physical responses. Okay. The flashbacks are probably going to be there. That fear is probably going to be there. Again, if this happened when you were smaller or younger, you're going to want to work with the inner child and comfort them. You're also going to want to have your boundaries up. It's like, if they're no longer abusive, make sure they're not crossing any other boundaries, make sure that everything is cool and they're respecting you. RESPECT. That is the absolute highest thing you need to work on, having other people respect you. If they don't respect you, leave. You don't need to, you don't hang around people that don't respect you, whether they're family or not. So, maintaining a relationship with the siblings. So it can be, how do I explain this? Honor yourself. Honor yourself, acknowledge. Don't ignore it. Don't be like, oh no, everything's fine. Because in fine, in a counselor's language, fine stands up for insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Okay. So you don't want to do that. I'm fine. I'm fine. Well, no. Honor that. Yes, I'm having these emotions. Yes, keep a journal. Keep something you can write things out with. Comfort that inner child. Comfort you, the you that got abused. Comfort. Honor, respect yourself, and listen to yourself. It's like, if it's too much, take a break, go for a walk, call your therapist. It's like, that would be a good thing to do. So if you want to stay in touch with the siblings, I understand why you're doing it. That makes total sense. So, but just recognize that those thoughts and feelings are going to be there. It's like when we go through abuse, it's not like it just poof disappears. Okay. We're going to have triggers. We're going to have, flashbacks. We're going to have feelings. Honor those flashbacks, honor those feelings, validate yourself, get a therapist. I think the kitty wants in now. Yeah, I can hear him meowing. So hold on. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah, you're going to have a hard time seeing them. You are. So gray rock when needed. So no response, no emotional response, don't engage. Just honor yourself, honor how you're feeling, get with a good therapist, get with an EMDR therapist. Make sure you have somebody that you can call that can help you stay grounded, a friend, or a trusted family member. So make sure that you're taking self-care like a boss. So this is, I think, one of the hardest things that survivors of abuse do, is when we leave a toxic family, family's been abusive, family has stopped being abusive, but there's still siblings either still living with them, or there's still siblings that are in touch with them, and we want to stay in touch with the siblings. It's really going to be self-care like a boss for you. Self-care like a boss. And do not put up with BS from anybody. Seriously. And boundaries. So, yep. Gentle with you, my love. It's going to flare up. Absolutely. And you are going to have a hard time seeing them, but just honor yourself. Just, yep, I'm having a hard time. Yep. Breathe. It's going to be okay. So yeah, good job. Okay. When a narc attempts to hoover with trauma, like a death in the family, is it okay to not respond at all? Yes, absolutely. It hurt when they did this to us, and I never want to feel that way again. Yeah, absolutely. So it's amazing what narcissists will do to try to reestablish connection. Yes, they will read about a death in the family and then, send you a condolence, or send you a text or an email or a phone call, or, whatever. They will literally do anything. There is no honor there. There is no sense of decorum. There is no sense of, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this isn't a good idea. They're not introspective. So for them, it's kind of like, ooh, I know, I'll reconnect with them because they're grieving, and I will, send them a condolence. No. You don't need to respond to them. You don't. If you've gone no contact, if they were abusive, absolutely have nothing to do with them. You don't have to respond. You do not owe anybody literally anything. So they sent a condolence. Okay, how nice for you. I'm not responding. Boundary. So yeah, honor yourself. Absolutely. Kitty, what are you doing? All right, I think that's kitty cat is meowing. Okay. All right, guys. I think that is it. So I will have time this week because I'm on vacation. So I will answer the questions on Wednesday. So if I didn't get to any questions, I will answer them on Wednesday, plus other ones that are coming in. I will put up the stuff about the cruise. So I'll start, once I get back from this, I'll start figuring out how to do the cruise and all that sort of good stuff. Can't think of anything else. I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Take care of yourselves, drink plenty of water. Remember, self-care like a boss. Remember, you don't owe anybody anything. Remember, you don't have to go if you don't want to. So gentle with you, and I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Bye.